I would not take this lightly. Do not click from this video. Y'all need to hear what I'm about to say. Hey guys, it's your Fit Doc, aka Kristen Simone here, and I'm back with another video. This video is going to be about how to prep for medical school interviews. If you're new to my channel, hi, welcome. I'm so glad that you picked this video to click on. I promise you won't regret it. Before we move on, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. You know, I'm a small YouTuber right now, but I really need you guys' support so I can continue to help and motivate you guys. It's about that time where we're gonna be starting medical school interviews, and we're completing our secondary applications, and we're finally getting things set in stone. Due to the pandemic, we will be having virtual interviews, which has its pros and cons, and I'll be going over those with you today. So before I get into the pros and cons, I'm going to give you a little rundown on how virtual interviews go. During this process, if a school would like to interview you, they will typically call you and let you know they'd like to interview you, and they would give you a time frame to see what days and times work for you. Once you pick a time and day that works for your schedule, they will send out an email confirming that time and day. And whenever it gets closer to the interview day, they will send you an itinerary of everything that they'll be going over in the interview process. So whenever it's time to interview, you may be interviewing with 7 or 8 other people. And the itinerary will start off with a campus tour. The campus tour will include the different facilities that are unique to their school, maybe different student orgs and groups that you can join, and you may be given the opportunity to ask questions. After that, the group of 7 or 8 interviewees will break off and will go into their own individual interviews. Depending on the school, you may have 3 interviewers or just 1. I know personally for me, I had 3 interviews that lasted about 30 minutes each. So my whole interview process lasted an hour and 30 minutes. For other schools, you may have 1 or 2. It just depends on the school. But after your interviews are over, you're gonna come back and meet with the group along with the Dean of Admissions, and they will wrap up and they will offer a Q&A for you to ask any questions that you may have, any concerns that you can ask the Dean of Admissions. After that, the interview will conclude, and depending on the school, they may send you their decision after 2 weeks. With that being said, that pretty much is the gist of how the interview will go. Some important tips to take from this process is that typically whenever you receive an email about the itinerary, they will tell you who you are interviewing with, and the interviewers can consist of faculty and staff, administration, professors, doctors. It just depends. The good thing about this is that you have the opportunity to do your research on whoever you are going to be interviewing with. I would not take this lightly. Do not click from this video. Y'all need to hear what I'm about to say. This was some advice given to me from a mentor of mine who's also a doctor. Do your research. The good thing about these virtual interviews is that most likely they will tell you who you're interviewing with. And it's important to look up these people, see what experiences they were a part of. What's their job description? What do they do every day? Are they a part of research? What do they teach in medical school? Like, dig into these people, because it's important to kind of bring it up in conversation as you're interviewing with that specific person. Of course, you don't want to be awkward and extra. Let it flow in the conversation, let it flow in the interview. But it's typically very easy to bring these things up. I know at one point, whenever I interviewed for one of the schools that I applied to, we were just talking, and I had mentioned that he did research. I just brought it up oh, I saw that you did research in the cardiothoracic, so I forgot what I said, but it was something like that, and he was explaining that, and he went on into that. And also I had interviewed with another lady, and I had mentioned that I had asked her if she liked working in the hospital versus clinical, and so that was a whole nother conversation too, and she got so excited because she was like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one asking questions. What I suggest to you whenever you're going into these interviews is not to be the one that's answering all the questions. Ask them questions. That will set you apart from other interviewers. Ask them questions. Act like you're the one that's interviewing them. That's what you should be doing. Make sure that you keep that in your back pocket and keep that in the back of your mind. Do your research on these people that you're going to be interviewing with, and ask questions. It's a conversation, y'all. Remember that. Of course, I shouldn't have to say this, but at least dress business casual from the waist up. I know I will be. I'm not about to be wearing a full outfit for what? They won't be seeing anything. So, of course, dress appropriately. Make sure you ask a lot of questions in the Q&A. I'm actually going to be coming up with some questions to be asking them soon. But make sure you look into student orgs, how they prep you for the USMLE. It's important to get comfortable with the different questions that are going to be asked and the way they're going to be asked on the USMLE. So make sure you ask about that. Ask whatever interests you. Also, another important tip, be on time. I shouldn't have to say this either, it's pretty self-explanatory, but given that we are doing virtual interviews, they are a little bit more lenient, but please make your best effort to be on time, be dressed, be ready, make sure that you've already eaten, make sure there's nothing in your teeth from whatever you ate before the interview. Be prepared, you guys. Again, these are virtual interviews and this is just what we have to do. It's out of our control. So there are pros and cons to this. The pros being that you can do prior research on who you're going to be interviewing with, and you have the commodity of being able to just sit in your room. However, that can also be a con because you're not able to actually see the campus. You're not able to actually feel like where you're gonna be. Given that, I do plan to still travel to these schools and just like look around the campus, just see what area are we gonna be in, just so I can get a feel for what it would be like being on campus. I know that they're not offering tours right now, but I'm gonna make the effort to really make sure that I'm making the best decision for me. And I'm not harming anyone by just like traveling to that area and just seeing like what it'd be like and how comfortable I would be around that area. So that is my advice to you guys. Pretty simple, but like I said, make sure that you're doing your research on these people that are interviewing with you. Make sure that you ask them questions. Don't be the one that's always answering questions. Ask them questions, be engaged. And that's pretty much it. Stick around for my next video where I'll be talking about the importance of secondary applications. Hopefully you guys are at that point where you are filling out your secondary applications or you're almost finished. Either way, stay tuned and get locked in.